Hello and welcome to the first workshop of the year. I am so happy to have you all here today. Um, let's get things started by just sharing a few links. This is the Figma to Code workshop. We're going to be learning how to design with Dev Mode today. So I'll give you all a moment to scan this QR code. Otherwise, you can go ahead and click the link in the Discord or in the Twitch. I'm also going to share a quick banner. Here we go. Oh, that banner didn't work the way I was expecting it to. So yeah, I'm gonna start us off with a quick question. Which is what's the weather like where you are? Because it has been very cold where I live. It is what's the weather right now? I guess it's only 50 degrees inside the house, but it's been a very chilly time. Because when you go outside and it's colder than that, and then um you go back inside and it's not that much warmer. It really does get to you sometimes. So anyway, feel free to share what the weather is like where you're tuning in from. Cold. Yeah, I something about this season has been pretty cold. Hi everybody. It is so good to be back in the new year. Start things out strong. Um, yes, and happy New Year. Right, number two. Yes. Fun fact, there are multiple Ryans inside of MLH, so um, someday we'll have to like figure out how to do a collect them all kind of situation. I don't know what the best way to do that is. If you see us at events, if you see a coach at an event that is a guy, there is a high likelihood that if you just guess that their name is Ryan, it's going to be Ryan. Statistically higher chance, just because there's three Ryans. There's at least three Ryans floating around. But yeah. Anyway, let's see. We got some questions over here. 40 degrees, 5 degrees Celsius. Hi, it's welcome to see you back. I will actually be running the Nature of Code workshop series if you want to tune in later. Basically, what we do in the Nature of Code series is we simulate natural systems using JavaScript, and it's a completely beginner-friendly way to get involved with programming. Lily here is a consistent fan of the series. All right, let's see what else is going on over here. I've got a thing over here. Please try them one by one. Yes, these are the challenges. 5 degrees Celsius. Oh my word. There's it is just cold all around. 14 degrees. I do live in the Fahrenheit side of the world. That is correct. I live in the United States. It is a chilly part of California over here. I won't say anything more than that. 14 degrees. I honestly wait. What does 14 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit look like? 57. Yeah, it's chilly. It is chilly. 4 degrees in London. I go to grad school in another state, and it is apparently it can get to like -60 Fahrenheit, which is so chilly. For the Celsius folks in the crowd, let's see what that looks like. It is I meant negative. Yeah. The Fahrenheit and Celsius almost like balance out at that temperature. I have no idea what I'm going to do when that happens, but I am preparing by buying a bunch of base layers. I've got a lot of clothing I'm going to be bringing back when I go back to school. 44 Fahrenheit in Chicago. Yes. All right. At least it seems like most of the world is above freezing, which is a pretty good start, honestly. But for those that are in the northern hemisphere, we're going to be moving into the colder parts of winter soon. So buckle up, I guess. Anyway, I thought it was kind of thematic to wear this hunter cap kind of thing going on. I see a quick question over here. It is not off topic. It is a good question. Basically, if you are unable to watch the stream, is there a video to catch up? Yes. All of these streams are recorded on YouTube. You can find it at MLH YouTube. They're uploaded after the stream is done. I can get you a link. YouTube, MLH. Oh my gosh. And they will be posted under the live stream section. There we go. All right. So I think that's given everybody just enough time to click into this QR code and check in. If you haven't already, this is what it's going to bring you over to. Make sure you check in so you can earn those points, get that swag. Let me go ahead and remove that comment. Ooh, congrats on showing up for your first hackathon. I'm very pleased that you could join us today. All right. How do you do the QR code if you're watching on your phone? That is a fantastic question. The easiest way to do that is you can take this link right here and check in. I do believe you will need to be doing this during the event. Otherwise, like once you miss this time zone, it's going to be kind of hard to check into the event. Streaming quality is low. I'm not sure if that is something I can fix. Give me a moment. Right now, I'm like, I've got a second tiny monitor. It's just my iPad. Let's see if I can change the stream settings. I'm afraid I don't know how to do that. Usually, or the way that we run streams here at MLH is we run it through a third-party service called StreamYard. And StreamYard allows us to stream to both YouTube and Twitch at the same time. And so I don't have access to all of the, I guess, like platform-specific tools that would make things really easy. 720p, yeah, looks like we're gonna have to roll with 720p for now. Am I cooked? I am 19 and this is my first hackathon. You are not cooked. I didn't do my first hackathon until my first year of college, and even then I wasn't able to do anything really because I was still learning how to code, and it's really hard to finish a project if you don't know a programming language yet. At least it was back when I first started. Now it's a lot easier to get started. I know many people who haven't participated in hackathons, and they've graduated and they did just fine. However, that does not say that hackathons are meaningless. They definitely do provide value. They help you finish projects. Ah, yes. Well, I'm happy that we can make this a safe space. We've got learners of all ages in the crowd, which is super exciting here. I am so happy that you were all here. Oh, we've got another one over here, another one over here. You are not all alone. All right. Question. Do you think AI will make us cooked? Because I feel like anyone in the world can vibe code. So what's the point of us who spends hours learning languages? Well, to this, let's see. Okay, so this is a big question. It is a, and it is a very understandable worry. I do not believe, the short of it is, I do not believe that AI is going to replace us. It can enhance you. And the problem is that some people think that AI can replace developers, but the people that do aren't often technical enough to distinguish between good and bad code. A lot of programming, like there's tons of ways to build any specific like app, usually. And so like us as programmers, our goal is to find the different ways to build it and find the one whose pros and cons work best for the case scenario. And I do believe that there's like a there's a lot of things that AI can't do. It can look like it can do a lot of things, but at the very heart of it, software engineering is about building things for people, and people build things for people a lot better than machines because we understand the human experience. Oh, we got more people of all languages, all ages popping in. Wow, this is chat is absolutely popping off right now. Okay, so what coding language is today's class in? It is not going to be in a programming language. Actually, it's going to be in Figma because this is a design workshop. We will be eventually exporting this into a website. So we're just going to be taking HTML snippets using a code generation tool built within Figma. And this is a old school code generation thing. This is well before large language models were, I guess, like the commonplace code generation tool. How to access Figma Dev, because working on a previous project, my team member had shared a project with me and I didn't know how to use Dev Mode on it. You are in the right place to ask that question. I have a few things to get through before we get to that, but the short of it is you can press Shift D on a frame, and that frame will be toggled into Dev Ready. And then, actually, no, I think Shift D actually changes you into Dev Mode, which allows you to then do things. And you will only have access to Dev Mode if you are on the education plan or if you have one of like the business, the paid things. We will cover that today in the workshop. All right, is coding still valuable as Claude Code is super smart and codes 90% of coding for Anthropic? Honestly, I like to stay on the optimistic side of, I guess, like programming as a whole. I am a computer science educator, and I am currently in grad school to continue doing that. I do believe that coding is still valuable, especially because, like, one, what happens when you need a program without internet? It is a terrible experience because you don't have online resources, but you also don't have access to large language models, which does a lot of that work. What I want to challenge you to do is, I guess, like this week, just try like vibe coding a few things, and just see how real those claims are. I do believe that at the end of the day, you need to be, generally, people are better architects than AI because we're able to see, I guess, like the bigger picture and change the level of abstraction, which is like how much we're kind of like zooming into content. Whereas AI just generally is really good at replicating things that already exists. Will this help me in finding internships? Yes, designing is a very strong skill. And if you are able to work in Figma, you are able to work with designers, which means that you are good at working with teams. And also designing is like one of the things that AI is not very good at, because AI doesn't understand, I guess, like the user experience because it doesn't actually use things. It can only replicate things that exist. It's really good at copying symptoms as opposed to, like, I guess, like solutions. Okay, welcome. AI without knowledge of code is useless. You still know how to. Yes, I 100% agree with this. The other thing is that, like, if you're being given like a set of instructions, like let's say you're asking AI for like a recipe to bake like cookies or something like that, and then it just like asks you to like grab like a gallon of soda and just like dump that into the mix. Sometimes like large language models, they have a degree of randomness, and sometimes that randomness will pick something that is not super relevant, and so it's very helpful to, I guess, like be in the driver's seat, and ready to grab the steering wheel, the metaphorical steering wheel, for whenever it decides to, start going off the rails. What language are we going to use? No language, not really. We're not going to be programming today. We're going to be doing design. All right. I've got to get going pretty soon, but let's see if there's any other things. How to get into Figma? What is Figma? Good questions. Figma is a design tool, and we will be learning how to use that today. Designer in the house. Who is our MLH host? It is me. It's Ryan. Ryan number 2. I like lettuce and Figma and many other things. All right, let's see what else. How do you get that shortcut pop-up you use to directly search on Google? I'm just using a browser. I'm using the Arc browser, and so I just did Control T or Command T, that's just how I open up a new tab. Really. Whoop. Okay. SFML C++. I have no idea what that is. How do we get points? By checking in to workshops like these and completing challenges on GHW. Love the AI will not help us. That is, yes. I do believe that AI's role is in helping us, not in becoming its own entity. I do hope that we don't get there that soon. 100% agree, system design is very important, and it is something that AI is not very good at. Did we need experience to share with you now? No worries. You are come here and do whatever it is that you would like to do. Whatever it is that you make of this workshop is of your own benefit. AI is pretty good at design. It makes, well, okay, it's good at making things that look pretty, not necessarily things that are useful for the user experience. User experience goes much more beyond just the user interface and how things look. It's also about how many interactions it takes, or how many like clicks it takes to interact with something, how readable things are. These are things that AI is not necessarily good at doing just because of the way that it sees the world, so to speak. Don't have Figma education. That's okay. If you have a student account, let's actually get started pretty soon. You can go over to, actually, when you click into this link, there is a link right here, mlh.link/Figma. That's going to point you directly to the, I guess, like the education sign up thing. And then you just punch in your details right there. So I'll show you what that looks like real quick. I've already verified my education status, and if you aren't able to do that because you're not an educator, that is okay. The only thing you will not have access to is dev modes here. There's still a lot that Figma has to give that's completely free that you don't have to worry about. Okay, what's the best website for turning Figma designs into code? Actually, Figma has its own, I guess, like system for that. I don't know off the top of my head what other, I guess, like companies there are that allow you to take Figma designs and I guess like translate it into code. I do know that there are quite a few plugins that allow you to do that. I encourage you to explore that during GHW. What's the journey after you're completing beginner week? Keep on building your own things. We always have more GHW streams every month, and you can also go to hackathons. Just keep building. That is the big thing. We're getting a task challenge after each session. No, you are able to, I guess, like if you want to build things, you can build things here. Okay, that is all the questions I'm going to take for right now. We're going to get through at least a few bits of the slide just to introduce you to all what Figma is, and then I will accept more questions after that. Okay, so here's the things that we're going to be covering today. We're going to be getting access to Dev Mode, which I just showed you. We're going to show you how to do some Figma things. We're going to learn how to build Dev Mode. We're going to build a quick project and build that project to life. Today, we're going to be building some sort of a card system. I really like board games, so maybe we'll recreate some, I guess, like maybe just like a classic card deck. So Figma actually has a whole bunch of tools, and they actually have even more than these 4 things right here. But Figma design is, I guess, like the bread and butter. This is, it is the place where you build wireframes, and so I've built all sorts of things in here. I've built designs for websites, apps, posters, other sorts of graphic design. It is useful. It's a one-stop shop for, I guess, like everything, as far as design goes, which is super nice. And the nice thing is that if you master Figma design, this is the interface that a lot of, I guess, like design teams interface with their developers with. There's also like some prototyping tools that allows you to actually figure out I guess like what interactions, how interactions will map with, I guess, like other parts of the app, all without coding, which is super nice. And then we also have FigJam, which is kind of the whiteboard, I guess, like system. And so this is good for if you want to jot down ideas, figure out workflows in lower fidelity. It's really good for just like getting things on the board. I also sometimes use it for lo-fi prototyping, which is basically just like just figuring out what the layout is, not worrying about the colors or the typography, or like I guess it's mostly focused on the layout structure. I also really like using sticky notes. I spam sticky notes for leaving notes. Figma Slides is another tool that's super cool. You can make your own slide decks in Figma, and so you can, I believe in Slides you could switch to design view to make your own slide deck completely from scratch, and it's a much more powerful tool than like Google Slides, for example. And yeah, you can also embed other sorts of widgets, and I guess like, yes, it is a slide deck tool. That's actually the tool that I'm using to present this right now, as you can see here. And then we've got Dev Mode. So Dev Mode is a thing that we will be exploring today. It allows you to have some code generation. It's also a really easy way to mark what frames are ready for development. And yes, it also has integrations with all of these other, I guess, like programming tools, which is handy to have. Okay, so today we'll be doing this. Why learn Figma? It is the design tool. It is honestly, it genuinely is the industry standard now. There was a long time back when Figma didn't exist, where people were still, I guess, like whiteboarding, literally whiteboarding and writing things out on paper, and probably doing a lot of things in slide decks like PowerPoint and Google Slides. But yeah, now we have Figma, which is super handy. Okay, I kind of blitzed through what Figma is. I'm going to take a quick break to check to see if there's any questions. Favorite React component library? Mine is ShadCN. Yes, ShadCN is a fantastic place to look as far as component libraries go. The really nice thing is that they are, I guess, like customizable. And it uses Tailwind and all of these other really cool tools. Can this hackathon be good for my LinkedIn? Yes. Any experience can be good for your LinkedIn. Eventually, you will want to polish it down once you have a whole bunch of experiences. But if you have no experiences yet, putting anything on there is very helpful. I wouldn't necessarily say that you all have to be like posting all the time. I don't like posting on LinkedIn. I just update like what my current experience is, and that helps me, I guess, like go back to that whenever I'm updating my resume. Building things, yes, I agree. I like anything that you build is experience that you want to showcase. You want to start being pickier about it the more experience you have. Otherwise, it's just going to be tons of stuff. Yes, highlights. That's the important thing. An FS developer. I don't know what that is, but yeah, one of the places you can look is at MLH. There's MLH hackathons and such. You can also look at DevPost and just look at your local community and just look up like your regions and then just put like hackathon and just see what shows up. How can I see the week schedule? You can go to Global Hack Week schedule. Sending it in chat. What do we do now? You can follow along. Full stack. All right, cool. All right, let's keep on going. So, Figma, it is a design tool, and because it is used by so many people, it's created very easy ways to, I guess, like reuse design bits that other people have already made. And the really nice thing is that some of the really major ones like Apple, Google, and Figma already have their own design kits, design systems So the nice thing is that like instead of having to build everything from scratch, you can just reuse existing libraries. It's just like programming libraries, except it's design libraries. So if you want to have access to like all of the I guess like Apple components, like all of their keyboards and the messages and buttons and sign in buttons, you can do this. Just import that. Same with Google. And same with Figma. I like to use Figma specifically, or I guess like for throwing together prototypes for web specifically. But it's also very, I guess, like a cross-platform kind of like modern kind of system, which is really nice. And the nice thing is that you can also build your own libraries if you would like, or you could also just take somebody else's online one. You could just look up like there's a good amount of companies, especially like big startups, that actually have published their own, I guess, like Figma design systems. Just go ahead and look that up. I know ShadCN and Tailwind actually have their own component libraries for Figma. So yeah. Okay, so designing is a separate skill from, I guess, like programming. Yes. And so you can use Figma basically anywhere. They actually even have a VS Code extension if you want to do it inside VS Code. We're going to be doing it in, I guess, like the web app, just because I'm already here. But yeah, it's cross-platform. They also have their own, I guess, like dedicated app if you want to do it outside of the browser. I like to use it in the browser because I like having less things on my computer. We already saw that. Get access to dev mode. Already showed you how to do this. Figma design basics. Okay, and so this is we're going to start with a quick tour of the design space. But I'm going to actually do that inside of Figma itself because I prefer to do that instead of just reading off the slides. Before we do that, do we have any big questions? Yes. Okay. So where do we get these slides from? You can get these slides right over here. They will be available as soon as you, I guess, like log in and register. This thing will be unlocked. You can also see some other Figma resources over here. So I'm going to go ahead and paste this in chat again. Here we go. If you ever, I guess, like lose the check-in link, it is also usually available on Discord, or I guess like floating around in Twitch chat. But yeah. Okay. You could also find it, generally speaking, if you just go to the Global Hack Week schedule, and you just go to the event that you're currently in. So like, for example, we're in the Figma code, and this is just going to open up this link whenever it loads. We're going to assume that loads. Okay, so when you open up a Figma account, you're going to see something that looks like this. You'll probably actually have a screen that says, can you make a team? And so I just made a team. This is called MLH. And then inside of this team, you could make different projects. And these projects just basically group together files, Figma files. And so each of these Figma files are just like, these ones, for example, are the ones that we've built in other previous Figma streams. Something to keep in mind is that when you make a Figma team, that team is the thing that you, I guess, like, is the thing that the billing account is paid, I guess, like, attached to. So as you can see here, I've got this MLH team that's set up under the education account, but I've also got like other projects that are just under the free tier. And so anybody who joins this team should have, I guess, like the same kind of like license in order to actually interact with it. You can see that one of them's locked. That's what happens when you're in a university and then your email gets lost and it is locked to university emails. But yeah, anyway, let's pop into here and let's go ahead and make a new file. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. You can see here that they've actually got a few other tools. We saw earlier Design, FigJam, Slides. They also have Buzz. I don't remember what that one is. They also have Site, which allows you to actually build and publish a website within Figma, which is really cool. You can also take advantage of a lot of the similar, I guess, like design tools that we'll be using here today. But we're going to be focusing more on specifically the design one because that's the one that I guess like Figma is most well known for. There's also have Figma Make, which I believe is their vibe coding tool that can also read Figma design. So somebody in chat was asking about like, what's the best way to convert Figma designs into AI built things. Make is probably one of the better ways to do that because it is a first party tool. All right, let's get started. So we've got a few things going on over here. We've got the File Explorer on the left side. We've got the Properties tab on the right side, and then we've got the toolbar down here. We can actually also just like toggle that in and out to just like hide things. So I'm going to go ahead and rename this one GHW cards, playing cards. We're gonna make some playing cards today. Okay, let's go ahead and hide this, and let's get something on the screen, shall we? So we've got on this, I guess like toolbar, quick tour. We've got the move tool, which you can't really see anything until we put something on the board. So I'm just going to go ahead and toss a frame in here. You can add a frame in here by pressing F and then just clicking anywhere on the screen. You notice when I press F, we actually get a few, I guess like presets over here. So if we want to design for like a MacBook Air, for example, this should copy the resolution of a MacBook Air. Now I'm only putting this in here just so that we can actually see what's on the screen as we move around. You can use the middle mouse button to, I guess, like pan. You can also use 2 fingers on your touch bar. I forget what this thing is called. Mouse. I'm gonna sneeze real quick. Whew. Excuse me. Okay. Oops, forgot to hide that. Oh, let me zoom in a little bit more. I see that the screen resolution is still pretty bad. Thank you. Appreciates the blesses. I feel very blessed. Can't see this Figma interface. Yeah, I'm not really sure how to adjust the resolution here. Maybe I can. Is there something I can do here? Recording camera. Oh, I'm definitely locked in at 720p for the stream. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to increase the resolution. Shared screen is blurry. Okay, well, what I can try doing is I can try removing the share screen, and then I can try to add it again, and maybe just add this window. Okay. How does this look? Are you able to see this? I appreciate all the problem solvers in the crowd. Still blurry. Okay. Let me see if I can find another way to share screen. Use operating systems. Share this window specifically. I don't know that I can zoom in much more. What I can try doing is I can try to exit full screen, shrink. Oh, I just realized I didn't even put this thing back up. I am not using OBS, unfortunately. I am just using StreamYard for the direct streaming. Okay. Compact mode. How is this? Are you able to see this more clearly? Yes, you will get a recording of this video. It will be posted on the MLH YouTube channel under the live streams. You and other things are okay 720p, but the shared screens, you just can't see the UI at all. Okay. Well, I'll try to, I guess, like be very explicit about what it is that I'm doing. Enter the studio. See somebody's. Okay. Create a new broadcast or enter existing one. Click the settings gear. Yeah, that's the thing. When I go over here, it says the resolution is kind of like locked. Here, I'll show you what that looks like. This is what it looks like to me. That's not really interactable right now, which does make things very awkward. I can't choose 180p. Maybe it's because we're streaming to both YouTube and Twitch. Okay. Well, I definitely still have some things I would like to share. And hopefully the recording is going to be a little bit more clear than this, or you can try following along yourself, and I'll just like share orally what it is that I'm doing. Yeah, I appreciate all of the help in chat, everybody. Really appreciate you all. Yes, the recording is clear. Thank you for checking that. All right, so let's continue. So we've got the frame, and so yeah, just for the sake of having because contrast, we're keeping these up here. I'm gonna bring this back up. So over here, we can see this is like, I guess, the layers. So if you've done anything with, oh, my screen froze for a second. Okay, looks like we're back. Do we have access to the resources at the end of the hackathon? Yes, you will have access to these resources, and a lot of these streams reoccur, I guess, like every month. You do not have to do it right now. If the only thing that's, I guess, like kind of locked is checking into certain events. Those things lock after the event is over. If you want to get the points for that. Is it supposed to be 24/7? There are streams, I guess, like that are throughout most of the day. They are intended to be, I guess, like to have a stream available for almost every time zone. And yes, you can also find, I guess, like all of the recordings under the YouTube if you miss it. Do we submit projects this week? Yes, you can submit projects to, well, if you ever lose it, you can always go to Global Hack Week and then go over to FAQ. Pop over to FAQ, go to where do I submit challenges, copy this link, and this is where you submit challenges. So you just pop into here. You will probably need to log in, and then click on something that has a place for you to submit. So, like, for example, over here, actually, I think this one's just going to point you to events. Yep. I know there's one over here. Where is it? Yeah, so you just go to submit project and it'll be something like that. Nice and easy. How do we get these boxes? Okay, so going back to Figma, these boxes, these are called frames, which basically means that something, it's a box that something lives inside of. And so you can get that by going to the second thing or by just pressing F and then just clicking somewhere. And so here we go. The nice thing is that if I drag this frame inside of the other frame, you can see here that the hierarchy changes a little bit. You can't really see the interior frame. So let's go ahead and change the color of this frame just so that we can actually see it. We'll just make it a nice red. And so, yeah, that's basically what it looks like. I'm going to scroll over to assets and show you what it's like to import a Slake library. Basically, assets allow you to reuse things that other people have already made. And so I like to just use the Figma simple design system. So let's go ahead and click into this. We can grab in maybe like an avatar block, just like that. And then we just kind of like zoom that around. We can change the context of here, just be like card. Yeah, and it's already got like a base description. So yeah, you can see here that I guess like on the right side, or I guess if you can't see this because it's super blurry, I'm sorry. The right side has the properties menu, which is going to have a whole bunch of contents. There's a section that's called auto layout. That's one that we're going to be playing around with a lot. But in this workshop, there's a few things I need to do. I guess like, or there's a few specific things I want to share. So we're going to be building these things from scratch rather than using the pre-made assets, just to show you how easy it is to get started. So let's see. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and grab some text by pressing T, or it's going to be this item right around the middle. I'm just going to drag out a box, and inside this box, we're going to say like ace of what's a red? Ace of hearts. Okay, cool. So now we've got a card. Okay. And so I'm going to pop over here, and I'm going to go over to typography. I'm going to click on the thing where it says body base, and I'm actually going to change this to like heading. And so you can see here that some of the, I guess, like font changes have kind of changed. Sorry. The font settings have changed on this thing. There's a few other things I'm going to check out, or I guess like play around with. There's a section that's called auto height. I'm going to go ahead and click that. Auto width. I'm going to click that. And there we go. Now we've got the text box that actually fits around the contents of the text itself, as opposed to earlier where we have the content here, but then like the box is kind of like a different size. And so just by doing auto width, it's going to, I guess, like auto scale that. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and make another text box. The way I'm going to do that, because this is something that happens, I guess, like in design a lot, is like sometimes you'll need to copy an element that already exists. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to option drag, or it should be, I think it's alt drag on Windows. And this is how you make a duplicate by just like dragging onto an existing element, which is super nice. I'm gonna go ahead and click back over here and change this into body base, and it's a card. It's a card. It has a suit of hearts and a value of ace. Okay. And so this is all cool and stuff. We can technically just like drag this and arrange it however it is that we want on this screen. But something that's really helpful in, I guess, like design is to, I guess, like kind of group things together and make things, I guess, like if you've done any sort of front end developments, there's this big word that's called responsiveness. And that's talking about, I guess, like responsive scaling, so to speak. And so there's a few things that we can do to make our lives easier, as opposed by making, I guess, like using relative measurements as opposed to absolute measurements. Absolute measurements being basically just like a coordinate system that says, oh, this is how far away I am from the top left corner of this specific context frame, which is, I guess, like this frame specifically, as opposed to, I guess, doing something more relative. And so we're going to be doing this thing that's called auto layout. I mentioned it before a little bit. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to press F, and I'm going to bring that all around the three things that we have selected over here. And I'm going to look over to the right where it says layout, and there's a little button over here that says toggle auto layout. You can also do this with Shift A. And so we can see here that it kind of snapped, and now we've got these, I guess, like little handles with these bars and stuff, which is pretty cool. So these are, I guess, like margins that we can adjust. And so I'm going to go ahead and just do, well, actually, what I want to do is I want to make this look more like a card first. So I'm going to make sure that we can actually see this by changing the fill of this card to be something a little more seeable. That is a little more seeable. Let's see if we can get something that's a little higher contrast. There we go, from the back. Okay, and so right now this isn't even a heart right now, so I'm actually going to go in here. Instead of a frame, actually, let's make this a rectangle. And I'm going to go in here. I'm going to click onto the 4 circles that says apply variables. I'm going to scroll around until I see a nice red color. That's red enough. And I'm going to double click into this. And what I've done is I've basically switched into the vector editor. And so I'm going to make a very rough heart shape just to get things going. I want to place a little anchor point here. We'll drag this up. We'll drag this up. All right, there we go. That's a very rough heart. Let's actually pull out a Bezier curve right there, right here, here, and here. If you don't know what a Bezier curve is, basically it is a curve that is done with math, and you're allowed to, I guess, like drag handles that adjusts the shape. Let's see, is there a way to dissolve this? I don't actually remember how to do this. Okay, that is a very rough heart, but it is very much a heart that exists. Okay, I see a couple more questions in chat. Do we get challenge notifications on Discord? You will get notifications for when there are live events, like swag drops or stream workshops. How do you activate Figma Dev Mode? I haven't gotten to that yet, but basically, there's a little toolbar down here, and you can switch this over to Dev Mode right here. And this is how you activate Dev Mode. It's going to pull up a few things. One of the things is actually MCP access. So MCPs, if you don't know what those are, it's Model Context Protocol, and basically it is a tool that allows your large language model to interact with something else. So in this case, it allows you to interact with Figma. I'm not going to set that up today. That is something that another coach will probably be doing a workshop on, actually. And so I believe you can also switch into it by pressing Shift D. Yep. So yeah, okay. How are we doing on time? We've got 15 minutes left. Okay. So this is not going to look very pretty. Basically, we've got our layout right here. I'm going to just quickly grab these corners. There's a way to do this over here, I believe. Let's see. Is it fill, stroke? No, it's not any of those. Here. I believe. No, that's rotation. There's a section on grabbing the corners. Corner rounding. It's under appearance. So I'm going to just go ahead and bump this up to full rounding. No, that's too much. 400. So this looks a little bit more like a card. Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and I guess like turn this into a component. And so components are, I guess, like, it's kind of like in, I guess, like programming, how you like to reuse things. Components are one of those reusable things. Like, it's like a reusable function, so to speak. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and right click onto this. And I'm going to scroll down until where it says create components, which is right here. I'm sorry, it's blurry. But I guess like if you are following along, it's going to look something like that. And then it's going to turn purple. And so once it turns purple, whenever you make a clone of this, let's go ahead and do that. You can see that it looks pretty much the same, which is like, oh, why even bother making it a component? Well, that's because if we go to the prime components, I guess like the original one, we can change, I guess, like what this looks like, and it will affect all of them. But let's say that like this isn't actually like a ace of hearts. Maybe this is like a king of hearts, right? Does that affect anything else? No, actually. Let's say if we wanted to change this to add more things here, you can see here that this one is the one that all of the other ones grab a reference to. So if we actually want to fill this card deck up, we could actually just have our prime one outside of wherever it is that we're planning on putting the rest of them. And then we can just spam the rest of them right here. So right now, I don't like how I have to manually place everything. So I'm going to go into here and I'm going to go into auto layout. And that's going to, I guess, like make it so that if I spam some more of these, it's kind of responsive. You can see it kind of fell off the screen right there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask it to wrap. And so now if I just keep on adding more and more and more of these, you can see that it kind of actually handles that already, so we don't have to worry too much about responsiveness. Now, I know this looks really ugly, but I do want to show you, I guess, like the dev part of this situation. So we're gonna pop over to dev mode. Actually, before we do that, there's this handy thing where if you click onto here, you see this little on the top right corner, there's this thing that says mark as ready for dev. I'm going to go ahead and click that. And so that makes it really easy to communicate that this frame is completely done designing, and it is ready for me to just like go ahead and make something with. So I'm going to hop into dev mode, and it's going to show me on the top left corner that I've got things ready for development. So I'm going to go ahead and click into that. And I've got all these helpful tools that are showing up where I could just like generate code and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and just click into this. I'm going to move over to the right. And instead of doing anything with the MCPs, because that is outside of the scope of this workshop, I'm going to just go ahead and copy and paste this stuff. Now, if you want to, you could actually hop into here and change this into a whole bunch of, I guess, like very common frameworks if you would like. And each one of these plugins does it a little bit differently. Ooh, excuse me. I'm just gonna keep it in vanilla, and so I'm just gonna grab this code, and I already have a text editor open over here, and we can see what is currently active over here. It just says hello world, and I'm running it using this app that is called, I guess, like there's this VS Code extension that is called, let me open up my extensions, live server. Let me zoom in so y'all can see. Oh, I just realized I'm not sharing my whole screen anymore. Boo, 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 boo. Share my screen. Here we go. Okay, cool. So, in my VS Code instance, which I need to bring back over here, we can see all of this over here. I'm using live server to run this plain HTML file over here. I'm going to go ahead and paste what it is that I copied over here. And I'm going to jump back over here, and we can see that our website has indeed loaded in all of this stuff that we had on our Figma. So that's what it's like to use dev mode. It's definitely a lot more handy when you actually get it set up with MCP. And so you can actually make, I guess, like more hot fixes over on the VS Code side of things. Okay, now I see we've got, I think there's a couple more questions I want to answer. But that is, I guess, like the core part of this workshop. I'm sorry I blitzed through it. My time management has gotten worse over the years, which is very sad. Okay, so yes, MCPs are very much APIs for LLMs. I do encourage you to try checking this out for yourself. If you have, I guess, like the Figma Dev Mode, or sorry, if you have the Figma Education account, feel free to do that and try that out. Thank you for the heart. I appreciate the appreciation for the heart. Can I confirm that Figma is to build out your asset library, kind of like Atom? I'm not sure if you're referring to Atom like a tool, but yes, Figma is to build out, I guess, like your assets, but it's also to figure out what your website is, what your project is going to look like. It's to design how things look and how things interact with each other. So I didn't get a chance to really show it too much, but there is a prototype button over here. And so if we wanted to, what we could do is we could take this, this specific frame, for example, Ace of Hearts. We could take it, add a wire right over here, and make it so that when we click, it's going to navigate to this frame. And so if we actually run this prototype, it will show us this website, this thing that kind of looks like, I guess, like the frame that we started it off with. And then we've now got a new clickable thing. So if I click into this, it now changes into this frame. And so I guess this is kind of how the Figma slide deck is kind of built, off of something similar to that. But interactions get a lot more complicated than what it is that I just demonstrated. They have ways to, there's people who've made entire games out of specifically just Figma prototyping tools. which is pretty rad. That was one of my first hackathon projects, actually. I didn't make a very good game because I didn't know how Figma worked at the time. But yes, Figma is useful for doing a lot of things. Building assets is one of them. I would use it more for as a design tool, though. Can you go down to the color palette, to the individual logo, just like you did with components? Yes, actually. So the color palette is actually currently being, I guess, like dictated by the simple design system. You can actually, on the right side, I know it's kind of hard to see, and I'm afraid I can't zoom in that much more. But basically this over here allows us to change the color palette that we're looking at. So currently if we click onto the button, we've got like the color picker and stuff. But we can also change, I guess, like the thing that it's pulling from by going to simple design system. And now we've got, I guess, like a whole palette to pick from, which is pretty cool. We also have variables that we can take advantage of. They're just like programming variables. If we want to create variable, actually, let's see if we can import. Nope, never mind. If we want to create our own color palette, we can just pop into here and grab our own, add our own variables. So if we wanted to say my favorite color, we can go into the value and change this into, like, let's say blue, for example. And now if I wanted to change the background of all of these cards, I can pop over here, change the backgrounds, and instead of looking at the simple design system, I'm going to go to create it in this file, and that's where my variables are. And so now we've got this terrible contrast, so I'm going to just undo that. But yeah, you can make your own color palette like that. You can also import it in from, I guess, like design systems. And the nice thing is that there's a color picker. So if you want to use like an external, I guess, like palette generator, like coolers.co, you could totally do that. Just and just like grab in any image that you want, and then just use the coolers.co. Okay, there you go. And yeah, this is like one way to select palettes. And then if you wanted to do that within Figma, pardon me for being on the wrong pages, you can just use this. This is the color picker. So if we wanted to make the background color like the exact same as everything else, which you probably shouldn't, you could do it like that. How long does the session take? I like it. I do appreciate the appreciation. This session ends in 2 minutes, actually. But yeah, all of these sessions are recorded. Yes, I'm sorry I worked so fast. My time management, something leaves things to be desired. Thank you for the blesses. Can you tell me how to make the heart? Yes. Basically, I took this rectangle over here. Let me actually remove. Oh, okay. Basically, I took a rectangle, I popped it into wherever it is that I'm looking, and then I double-clicked into it to turn it into a SVG editor, and then I just started moving these points around. And then I clicked into here, and then I adjusted a few of these. I guess like when you click onto the individual, I guess like points on the shape, on the right-hand side in the properties menu, there's a section where there's like I guess like they call it like angling and stuff under the vector section. You can change that to be able to, I guess, like get these handles to get these curves and stuff. Why don't we just duplicate the card normally if we're keeping the same prime card away from the main dock? So if we duplicated the card without having, I guess, like the prime one, then it makes it harder to make the same adjustments to all of the children cards. And so, for example, if I had one of these, let's take this away from the component. So now this is completely detached from everything else. Let's say I don't like this child heart, so let's get rid of that. Let's say I also don't like the title. Maybe I wanted to change the color of all of these things again. If I wanted to change the color of all of these things again, then I would have to pop into here, Let's change it all to yellow. This one is no longer attached, so any changes I make to the prime card will not affect this one if it's not like a component of the other ones. Okay, that is all of the things that I can cover for today. I'm gonna leave a quick link for, I guess, like feedback. There is a feedback thing. Huh? Where is it? Where is it? Did I leave the slide deck? Oh, okay. All the way at the end. Oh yeah, you are also welcome to, I guess, like on this link, when you get access to the slides will show you everything that I would cover normally in this workshop, in greater detail and in higher resolution, hopefully. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much for the appreciation. I really appreciate you for coming here and hanging out with me. Yeah, and you should definitely check out, hang on, I want to give a quick shout out to the next coach. The next coach is going to be Freddie. I think this is going to be his first stream, so please give him a warm welcome. And yeah, he's going to be available right here. He's going to be teaching you how to interact with the command line interface, all of the terminal things. Anyway, thank you so much. I hope to see you all very, very soon. And make sure you say to Freddie, hi from Ryan, or I guess like tell Freddie I said hi. But yeah, anyway, thank you so much, everybody, and good luck. Bye.